Hey guys, this time I'm attempting a survival camp on remote coastline with almost no gear, just a multi-tool, no food, no proper shelter, no fire setup, just the environment and whatever I could figure out. Ju- Here's what really happened. First, location and environment. The location was barely accessible by a
Yeah.
regular car. There was a narrow, rough road, but only for about a minute before arrival. Still, once I got there, it wasn't remote at all. There were already three other groups camping. One group stayed up late, singing
Yeah.
loudly and acting like idiots. The other two were quieter, a family sleeping in their car, and a solo biker using a minimalist shelter. So much for isolation. Next, environmental conditions. The area was completely trashed, but once you walked around, you find garbage and even human waste left behind. I brought portable toilet bags and trash bags, and I made sure not to leave anything behind. Except one thing, I broke glass during the survival process, and I couldn't safely collect all the fragments. I ended up cutting my finger here. So, and threw remaining pieces into the sea, hoping they'd be smooth over time. Not ideal, but really isn't clean. There was also a surprising amount of drifted bamboo along the shore, and above me all day, a large bird of prey, maybe a hawk or an eagle, was circling. Cats were also living in the area. I encountered one several times. When I was leaving, it blocked a narrow road. It wouldn't move until I used the horn and the gestures. Next, wildlife strategy. If you're focused into long-term survival, befriending animals like cats, crows, or even dogs can actually work in your favor. They can become part of your environment. Next, food. It was a total failure. This was the biggest reality check. I discovered that collecting shellfish and seaweed was prohibited, so the ocean was completely off limits. That meant no fishing, no gathering, nothing. The only thing I ate was a few dandelions. I knew they were
Yeah.
safe, so I had no hesitation. They had a slightly citrus-like taste, like a tiny wild orange. I tasted two other wild plants. They tasted spicy, almost like mustard. I didn't get sick, but I also didn't trust them
Dandelion.
enough to keep eating. That's when it hit me. You cannot rely on improvisation alone. Without structured knowledge of wild plants, you're guessing and guessing gets you killed. I also found a crab, tried to catch it, and somehow it vanished. Next, failed fish trap. I made a simple fish trap using a plastic bottle. It's supposed to be easy. I placed it in the ocean, and it just drifted away. Wrong location, too much current. Another failure. Next, hard truth about food. To consistently get food from nature, you need real practiced skills hunting, gathering, fishing, not ideas, not YouTube knowledge, practice, repetition systems. I later realized I could have made a bamboo spear from the drifted bamboo, cut the tip, sharpen it. Simple, effective, but it was too late. Water, control risk. Next thing I tried was I drank rainwater that had collected in the ground and in shrine structures nearby. It was clearly isolated from rivers or the ocean, so I drank several liters in the heat, and I had no issues. No smell, no bad taste, just a slightly earthy flavor. But this is important. Drinking untreated water is for emergencies only. Normally, you should boil or filter it. You can even make a DIY filter using cloth, charcoal, sand, soil, or carry a compact filter straw. Next, fire. It was also a disaster. I lost a fire striker from my multi-tool right when I need it. That's the lesson. If your gear is easily to lose or hard to use, it will fade you. Tie it down, secure it. Otherwise, assume you'll lose it. I tried primitive fire methods. Bow drill failed. I couldn't even make a proper cordage. Hand drill also failed. Maybe the wood was too soft. Maybe my technique was bad. Then I tried using broken glass to focus sunlight. I failed to break it properly, cut my finger again, and still couldn't start a fire. Eventually, I used a gas burner, but even then, dry grass burned too fast. Thick wood wouldn't catch fire. I couldn't maintain the fire. The correct approach is gradual, thin, medium, thick fuel, step by step. I also had bamboo nearby, which burns easily. I missed opportunity. Next, shelter. I tried building a shelter using only natural materials after it got dark. It was a bad idea. Visibility was terrible. I couldn't do it properly. So I gave up and used a sleeping bag. If you're gonna build it with natural materials, you need time and a lot of materials, especially dry grass. Mental state. Real lesson. I have severe hay fever. My nose completely clogged. I could only breathe through my mouth. But the real problem wasn't the condition. It was panic. I can't sleep like this. That thought almost broke me. But once I calmed down, cleared my nose, I managed to sleep. Even when it clogged again, I just ignored it and slept anyway. So, core lesson: problems are inevitable. Panic is optional. Your mental reaction is more dangerous than the situation itself. Next, night conditions. At night, visibility drops, but sound travels faster. Small noises, small lights, they expose you. I try to stay hidden, assuming hostile people exist. I camped deep in vegetation in a place invisible from the outside. Visually, it was perfect, but it was on a slope, full of rocks and branches, very uncomfortable. I next safety mistake. I carried a knife for self-defense and ended up cutting my own finger. That was everything. A proper sheath or folding knife would have prevented it. So, final summary: this wasn't survival. This was a reality check. Food requires knowledge and repetition. Water requires judgment and caution. Fire requires preparation and skill. Shelter requires timing and effort. And mindset determines everything. If you think you can survive with just instinct, you're wrong. You need systems, you need training, and you need to fail before it actually matters.